All right. We are live. This is the T Podcast. Today we have Jerry Bobb, who is the owner of Super Taters in Scott, Louisiana. He's also a creator and an operator and all that sort of things. He's a man of many talents.
Like 17 jobs, but go ahead.
17 jobs. Today, our episode is powered by Optimized Generator People. They are a great local company. So if you're looking to prevent outages at your home, Optimized Generator People can help you power your home with confidence during any outage. Optimized Generator People specializes in reliable home standby Generac generator solutions. It's a mouthful, but it's a legit an expert service. Control your power, control your life with Optimized Generator People. Their website is optimizedgp.com. Basically, we have a lot of hurricanes around here. And if you have a big need for electricity, which we all do, a lot of people work from home, especially after COVID happened 5 years ago. It's been crazy, 5 years already. But, when your power goes out, it could be out for 5 seconds. It can be out for 5 minutes. It can be out for 5 days, depending on if it's a hurricane. So if you're looking to power your house during an outage, call Optimized Generator People or go to the website, optimizedgp.com. And that is that sponsor. We appreciate them. And with that, enjoy the episode. All right. And so before we get started with the conversation at hand, we have our presenting sponsor, Chase Group Construction. They are a great local company to design and build a business. So if you're looking to build a business from the ground up with a structure, or if you want to renovate a business, call these guys, chasegroupconstruction.com. They've built a great number of different businesses around town, restaurants, multi-unit shopping centers, medical centers, you name it. They've done it all. Great local company, chasegroupconstruction.com. Check them out. They're supporting local. They've been supporting us for several years now, and they're continuing to do that, and we really appreciate them. All righty. So, Jerry Bobb, welcome to the T Podcast.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I feel like we're going to talk about a lot. We won't got an hour. That's the only unfortunate thing. But we'll get to it. If we need another hour, we'll reschedule, right?
Yeah. If there's more to talk about, we'll definitely add another episode. So I want to go ahead and just establish who you are. I know you from your business, Super Taters in Scott, Louisiana. Right. But that's not all you. Like, that's not your whole personality.
I think sometimes, when you become notable for something, people tend to kind of sort of put you in a box. And it's okay because, if you've got something that's really good, something that really catches their interest, it's okay for them to know you as that. But at times I find that you've got to pop out and show them, right? You got to show them that you do other stuff, maybe other sides of your personality. In my case, I do a lot more to make food. So hopefully we'll learn a little bit about those things today.
Yeah. I agree with the whole not making it your personality, even though I'm personally known as the DL guy typically. But I do a lot of other things, not just this page that I've been doing for almost 15 years. It'll be 15 years in a couple of years. It's crazy.
Congratulations.
But yeah, I do graphic design. That's the whole reason I moved to Lafayette. But yeah, there's other stuff. So with you, what were you doing before Super Taters? Are you from here? Like, tell me a little bit about yourself, kind of starting in the early days.
Well, I'll say this. In about 2 weeks, we will make 11 years being in operation. I'm proud of that. But, you can't really, as it said, you can't really figure out where you're going if you don't know where you came from. So where I'm from, St. Mary Parish, all that area, Franklin, Baldwin, Sharonton. And the way I got to Lafayette was going to UL, for business, computer science. And, after it was done, we just never left. I noticed that Lafayette had like an abundance of opportunities, and I've done a lot of traveling. And I was like, you know what? Maybe it's kind of cool being in this little hub of culture and food and such. Most people probably don't know, because I'm, I guess, notable for food, that I do a lot of other things. Food just happens to be a byproduct. And I grew up in the kitchen, technically, but I'm not a chef. I actually consider myself to be a culinary artist.
Okay.
And what I describe as a culinary artist is someone who uses artistic talent to make food, edible art, I like to call it. I mean, you've had my food before, but anybody who's ever had my food before, they have to know that presentation is probably very, very important. So that's kind of where the artistic creativity comes in at.
So you believe that you eat with your eyes first?
You have to, because if it doesn't look appealing, now you might be able to whip up something at home during your struggle times, and you eat it. But because we're in such a visual culture now, of video, of podcasts, of social posts and content creation, it has to look appealing before you eat it. Just not too long ago, I had a young lady sent me an inbox. She was like, "I'm surprised that your food actually looks like your pictures." But for me, that's authenticity. That means that you can actually see it and you can actually get it presented the same way.
Okay. So I definitely want to get on the topic of food, but still want to establish kind of who you are as a person. Mm-hmm. So you are going to school at UL mm-hmm. for business and computer science.
Right. And see, I'll mention this. Like you mentioned, kind of sort of my journey here. Even though I can cook, even though my restaurant is successful, all the recipes are mine, all that good stuff. But I'm a businessman first. I think that I can't necessarily tell anybody how to operate a company, but I can tell you that one of the keys to my success is running my restaurant like a business and not such a restaurant. Because with the restaurant, you're like, oh, it's good food, whatever happens, people buy it. But if as a business, you can say, hey, portion is important, timing is important, speed of service is important. Like all the things that are critical to, honestly, any business, not just a restaurant. I take those and I apply that in a restaurant setting, and it helps a whole lot to keep my restaurant running, and not only running, but to be have some longevity with it.
Okay. So was getting into the restaurant business always a thing for you? Like, what did you want to do getting out of UL?
Not at all. As far as your question about whether I want to get in the restaurant business, if I was really being honest with you, I mentioned earlier about growing up around people that can cook, like my mom and my grandma. As a matter of fact, my grandmother was, old fashioned. So she told me, she's like, I'm gonna teach you how to be independent. I'm going to teach you how to cook. I'm going to teach you how to keep house. And her thing was, now it's a bit outdated in 2025, but she said, you're going to find you a wife that may not know how to cook. And so you need to know how to cook. You need to know how to wash your own clothes and that type of stuff. So I grew up a very, very independent kid. And so, again, cooking was one of those skills. So I had never envisioned myself. And she told me, she's like, you're going to be a chef one day. I was like, nah, Mama, I'm not going to do that, because chef is not a cool job, But anyways, so she taught me how to be independent. So probably from the age of 6, I grew up cooking. But again, back in those times, I mean, you knew chefs like, Paul Prudhomme and, people that were notable, but it wasn't really like a foreseeable career. Like you might see a police officer, you can see him on a corner, you can see a fireman, that type of stuff. And they were more realistic careers, options. And so I was like, so cooking was something that you did more because you need to eat, not so much as a career. So that was kind of on the back burner. But we mentioned earlier that I've got a lot of skills and got a lot of talents, and cooking was just happened to be one of those things. So business was my first objective. Probably for the first, I say 10 years, I looked around for a business because I knew that I was going to be a business owner. I just didn't know. I'd be a restaurant owner. But as it would work out, it's like, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. Let's cook. I guess that's the way Super Taters started. I was able to get an equipment package of like tables, stoves, ovens. So I was like, what am I going to do with this? And one of the what probably not a lot of people know is that I opened Super Taters and I developed the menu as I went along. I didn't necessarily have a concrete menu. I knew I was going to serve certain things, It's like, So what I did was I asked my customers, and my customers actually helped me create my menu. And so 11 years later, I have a menu that takes up an entire wall. And being that I'm a culinary artist and I'm a creator, I can honestly create anything that you want to eat. And sometimes people can't believe that. They're like, wait a minute, so you stock that many ingredients? Yes. Because I figured out that the better position you are to serve people, the more successful you have the potential to be now, because now people will come to you now instead of going to places that, hey, this place serves red beans and rice. But you serve red beans and rice, you serve chicken, you serve this, you serve fish, you serve all these other things. So I can actually bring my family to your place and feed everybody under one roof versus having to stop to 5 or 6 or 7 different places.
Yeah.
And because of my creativity, I always create. And that's kind of how, again, I've got an entire wall full of menu items. And again, due to my customers, because they're the ones that helped me construct the menu. Now, they didn't realize it, but suggestions and certain things, getting feedback, now you have the opportunity to have almost like a test kitchen, and a fully operational restaurant, but with a test kitchen. Hey, do you like this? Hey, Ben, you like this? Hey, Susan, you like this? How does it taste? Does it need more salt? Does it need more seasoning? And what you do, you end up perfecting, something while you're open.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to go back a little bit to the start of the business, and then after that we'll get my next sponsor in, and then we'll dive in a little deeper. But so was Super Taters a franchise
Not
that
at
you
all.
saw going into business? Because you said there were like 4 or 5 things that you knew you could do, and cooking was one of them.
Well, anybody that knows me, and hopefully you guys have the opportunity to get to know me today, you know that I'm a 100% independent kind of sort of fella. I've got a lot of skills. So one of the things that I knew that I wasn't going to do is a franchise. Didn't want to do it because now you're competing with someone else's ideas, but I've got my own ideas.
Okay.
So instead of actually competing, I can just implement my own. Now I will tell you this though, for a lot of people, a franchise is easier because you pay them your money and they give you the blueprint, and it's up to you to kind of make it work. With my case, I'm like, well, I've got a lot of good ideas and I don't want to do a franchise. So what do I do with these ideas? So you come up with an establishment. One of the cool things about Super Taters is that, people sometimes think, well, you're just a potato place. I'm not. They say, wait, you sell burgers too? Yeah. You sell hot sandwiches too? Yes. You sell quesadillas also? Yes. You sell soups also? Yes. You sell salads also? Yes. And I'm steady creating things. So it's kind of like the menu is always fluid. It's not a fly by night. It's something that's built to last. It's something that's built to kind of appeal to a lot of different people. And it works. But it works because I make it work. It's kind of like being the gas to an engine, so to speak.
Yeah.
So yeah, no franchise, man. I decided that I wanted to go the hard route. But when I tell you that that 11 years later, I'm still standing strong. Had a few moments where I didn't quite know what direction we're going to go in, particularly around COVID. But being original has its perks because you create something that's concrete. You create something that only you have. And even some people, one of the things that, if you follow my page, I'll say, that a lot of people like to imitate, but you can never really be duplicated if you're original, and if your things, I don't care if it's a song, I don't care if it's shoes, whatever it is, if you created it from your heart and your soul, nobody can copy it. They can try, but it won't be like the original.
Yeah. Was the name always Super Taters?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I'll give you a little bit of history. Super. I'm a sports fan, right? Okay. And I grew up a comic book loving kid. One of my favorite superheroes is
Superman.
Yeah. So I decided to combine the two. So if you ever come into my place, you'll see I've got a lot of like jerseys and memorabilia and stuff. And there's also little nods to the Avengers and Superman and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And that's all because I really wanted two things. It to represent my personality, and not only represent my personality, but to also be a play on words. Super Taters. Soup Taters. Get it?
Yeah.
So
soup or taters.
It kind of gives you an idea of what I carry and what I serve.
It's almost like whenever like my wife loves going to Olive Garden for the soup and salad, and I always get it in my mind. I'm like, super salad. It's like soup or salad. Like,
see, it's hard. It's hard for people to believe, and you know, and maybe it's my fault because I don't do a lot of talking. Well, I do a lot of talking. Like I run my own Facebook page and my own social media, so I'm talking directly to my crowd every single day. I tell them what my standards are. I tell them what's on special. I tell them what new things that I've come up with. They get to kind of follow me on my side adventures and stuff. So that's a luxury that I've always felt that was, really like an asset to the business, because you don't have to wonder what the owner guy is thinking, because you're hearing it or you're reading it every single day. But again, I think it's people. Your job as the owner, or at least I feel so, is to reach your audience, and to give them what they want or what they desire from you. And to any business owners out there, if you're looking to start a business, and I don't care what business it is, your job is to find who your clientele is. And once you found who your clientele is, find out how to satisfy them. And once you found out how to satisfy them, keep doing it. It's not that difficult.
No, it's not. It's not. I mean, there are some people that, some influential entrepreneur-minded people that say people spend too much time trying to create a product that people want, when they should find the people and what they want first before creating something that basically, don't create what you like expecting people to want it. Find your audience, find what they like, then sell it to them.
Can I tell you a secret? There are things on my menu that I like, but I don't care about me. I don't. You got the money, you got the desire, you've got a want. So if I'm a business and my objective is to sell to you, why am I creating what I want? People come and ask me all the time, what's your favorite? What's your favorite? What's the best? And
the best is whatever you like.
That's the truth. But coming from me, it sounds as if I'm trying to kind of sort of, it's like, no. Yeah. I've created every single thing on this menu to be great or delicious to somebody. Maybe not you, and that's okay. But that's why I've got this other item, because you can try that other item. Or if you really want to, just tell me what you want to eat. And guess what I can do? I can create it for you. You can't get that a lot of places. And I'll tell you something. A long time ago, I went to this place, I won't say the name, and I asked them, I was like, well, okay, so this is not on the menu, but I see you've got this ingredient, you've got this ingredient, you've got this ingredient. Can you make it for me? It's like, no, we don't do that. And that's okay. I mean, if you don't want to do it, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you've got money, and again, as a business, my objective is to receive your money.
Yeah, my business is to sell you something and take your money.
Right. Well, I didn't want to use the word take, but that's kind of what it comes down to. You're paying me for a service.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, there are some times that even with my philosophy, I sometimes can't do it because either it's just too crazy or, but I do, for lack of a better term, almost one-on-one consultations, so to speak. Like I'm like the culinary artist. So instead of having food mass produced, I actually handcraft food for each person who walks in the door. And when I tell you that it's a wonderful idea in theory, it works. But when you've got people that are so used of having restaurants be mass produced, or restaurants that have pre-made stuff, and I'm the lone wolf, or one of the only, that say, hey, I don't start on your food until you tell me what you want and how you want it. There's no pre-made salad. So if you want your salad without bacon, we can do it.
Yeah.
If you want your salad with shrimp instead of this, I can do that. Or if you want a shrimp and this and this and this and this and this and that, I can do that also. But that's because I have committed to making everything handcrafted and making everything to order and making it to your specifications. And so a lot of times people are like, well, how do you do business? Or how'd you last so long? Or how do you have such a dedicated clientele? Because they know exactly what I do and they exactly how I do. Mm-hmm. And they say, well, you know what? I'm not going to go to this place down the road. I'm going to go to him because he can actually construct what I want. And not only that, but it can be consistent. Me and you both know that restaurants are hit or miss sometimes. I'm one of those places that are kind of spot on every single time. First, because of consistency of staff. Second, because I'm actually around. I notice sometimes people they'll become successful and then they'll kind of fall to find other things to do. And then how long do you think it's going to last? Because remember, you were the proprietor, you were the person that had the ideas and the creativity, and now you've abandoned your own setup.
But that comes to a fault for some people's personalities. Some people are creators, not operators.
That is true.
And so they like to create a business or create something, but once it's created, they don't want to operate it because that was not their gift. Their gift is to create. If they could find an operator, cool. But some people are good at both. Some people can create and operate.
I'll tell you something. Operating is stressful.
Dude, you're preaching to the choir. I operate. In my opinion, one of the most stressful things to anybody's life is constant barrage of comments and negativity, and it takes a toll. So,
well, one of the issues is that people, that patrons, people, the public, there are areas that they have no clue about. None.
No. Yeah.
And instead of actually, asking or doing research, they will assume. And a lot of times their frustration or their anger or even those negative comments are based on that little tiny perspective that they had. I'll give you an example. Sometimes we have customers, you'll come in and say it takes, 20 minutes to make food, right? A person will assume your entire life and your entire 11 years of existence in those 10 or 15 minutes that they walk in. And then they'll go write a dissertation online and say, I went in there and he was doing this and he didn't do this and this and that. I was like, sir, what if I went to your job?
Yeah, what if?
Like say you did tires and I decided to question your expertise. Now you've got all these certificates and all these degrees, and it says that you're the best doggone tire maker that you could ever find on the planet Earth. But me, I'm a fool guy. What am I critiquing your ability to do tires for?
Yeah, you didn't rub the little thing on the rim.
Right. And so sometimes people do that, and I feel like, because I'm an owner operator, sometimes I'm confused. I'm like, sir, you drove all the way here because I'm an expert at something that you wanted to pay me for, but yet you're going to critique my entire process that you have no clue about.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, man.
It is very weird. Well, let me get my sponsor in here. Last one, I promise. Trust me. Great sponsors. They pay the bills. Music Academy of Acadiana. If you're looking to learn music, or if you want to be the behind the scenes person and help music sound better, they have all that there. They teach tons of instruments, strings, drums. They can help you improve your voice. You can be young, you can be old as dirt. If you want to learn music, they got it. And if you want to learn music and you want to create an album, if you have an aspiration to do that, they have an award-winning in-house recording studio where they record actually some pretty well-known artists in the area, but they don't flaunt it because they're pretty humble people. But great school, about 500 students in and out each month, founded by Tim Benson, who is a great guy, UL Lafayette Music School graduate. He's also a member of the Criers, which is an emo cover band, early 2000s music cover band. Great cover band, by the way. Check them out, though, Music Academy, Acadiana.com. Great local people, like I said, and we really appreciate their support. All right. So going to the comments real quick. We only got one comment so far, but it's a good one. This person, his name's Podna Builds, and he says, I guess he, she, whatever, they, says, everything I've eaten there is amazing.
Well, thank you for that comment. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so
hopefully, though, what's his name again?
Podna Builds.
Podna Builds. Thanks, man. I really do appreciate that. But I guess I'll take his comment and I'll just kind of take it from there. Sometimes people don't really, remember I told you about experts and such. If someone is good at something and they've kind of sort of put the work in, I think it's very, very important for people to understand that person has perfected a certain craft, And I find that, and I know I'm not the only one who goes through it, but like sometimes I don't find that people really respect restaurant people.
No,
because we're service, and because everybody thinks that I can cook that at home. But I get it. But you actually took your time to come to me. And so you've got to kind of follow my lead. Because if you saw that I'm award winning, if you saw that I was featured in Forbes, that I was featured in all these big magazines, and all these big publications, global stuff, national stuff, you do realize that those people don't come and talk to people who are just half-assing stuff, right?
Right.
And so I'm kind of like that person. But what I realized, though, is that they may never understand. And that no matter how much explaining I can do to them, they may never get it. But guess what? They keep coming back. So what does that mean?
That means you're doing something right.
Exactly.
I want to say this before I lose this thought. Earlier, we were talking about being able to create something, and if you have the ingredients, why can't you make it? Mm-hmm. And years ago, I was enamored by, I guess enamored is the right word, I don't know. I was fascinated with a particular item at Burger King, mm-hmm. the rodeo cheeseburger. Mm-hmm. They still got it. Mm-hmm. It's a great little sandwich if you're looking for something quick and you want barbecue flavor, not actual barbecue, because it's just frozen meat put into a broiler.
Got it.
But their slogan, what is their slogan at Burger King?
Have it your way.
Have it your way. Well, let me tell you, these MFers did not let me have it my way. Okay, the rodeo cheeseburger is a junior burger, essentially. It's a junior patty.
It has onion rings on it, I think, right?
Onion rings, barbecue sauce, cheese. I think the standard one doesn't have cheese. It's just a rodeo burger, but I like the cheeseburger version because the cheese with the barbecue sauce and onion ring just go together.
Goes together.
And me, as a early 20s guy, I was hungry. Yeah. So I was like, I could either buy 2 of the rodeo cheeseburgers, which is fine, or why don't I just order my own? Why don't I just order a Whopper-sized rodeo cheeseburger? Jerry, let me tell you, not 1, not 2, but multiple Burger Kings told me the same exact thing. I said, hey, I see you have a rodeo cheeseburger. I like it, but I want it to make it the Whopper size. Mm-hmm. I want basically a Whopper made like the rodeo cheeseburger. Mm-hmm. Guess what they told me? No.
Now, let me tell you why, though. Let me tell you why. And maybe this might ease some of your 20s-year-old youth frustration. Well, first of all, franchises are limited in what they can create. Also, you're probably not going to get a 17-year-old teenager to even care about your taste.
No, I get that.
So in my case, you have the luxury of having an owner, operator, and creator, and all kind of built into the same person. So I'm actually interested in hearing what you have to say, because who knows, maybe your suggestion may help inspire my next creation.
Yeah.
Right. But I can do that as an independently owned and operated business.
Yeah.
And even then I'm limited because you're limited by time. Sometimes I may not have the ingredients. But what I've encouraged people to do is to tell me what you like, because as a business, remember I told you, like, my job is to try to find the best way to satisfy you. Mm-hmm. And I stock a gazillion ingredients, right? Again, who knows, what you suggest to me might be my next creation, might be my next number 1 seller, or whatever it might be. But when you try to explain that to people, I hate to say it, but sometimes they're so laser focused on themselves to where when you tell them that you can't do something, or you tell them that you lack the ability or lack the staff or lack the time, they're like, well, why can't you? It's not that I don't want to. It's just that right now I just don't have the ability to do so. But for the most part, I'm interested in hearing what you have to say, because what you have to say, especially from the consumer standpoint, is important to me as a business. But your opinion, as important as it is to you, it's only your opinion. And as a business, I have got to cater to the masses and not just the one person. Although I want to, I don't want you to get offended because I don't take your suggestion. Give you another little quick story. Sometimes people come in and say, you should do this with your business.
Yeah, you got to love that.
And I'm like, no thanks, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But this would be a great idea. I hear you and I receive your message, but I don't want to do it. You're rude. You're an asshole. Sir, it's not that I'm trying to be a butthole. I've got 11 years of success. I've got all these walls and walls of awards and presentations and features and stuff. Is because I do something really well on my own. I didn't solicit opinions.
Right.
But when you tell someone that I didn't solicit your opinion, they take that as you don't want to hear my opinion. I didn't say that. What I said was, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm not, this suggestion box is not open right now. or they'll say, well, you should put, now you can, now this is where it got kind of confusing as a consumer. If I'm preparing something for you, I'm taking all the feedback and I'm taking all the information that you want to give me because it's yours. It's going to go inside of your belly.
Yep.
You know, but you can't tell me how to run my business. You can't tell me what time I should close or what time I should open, or that I'm not open on Sundays. You should open on Sundays. Who's going to work on Sundays, ma'am? Well, you could find somebody. You see that? You were concerned about your own needs, and now you wanted to suggest something to me that I can't functionally fulfill. But then when I told you no, your feelings got hurt. Oh, he told me no. I didn't tell you no because I didn't like you. I told you no because it's functionally impossible or functionally just not a good idea for me to actually do it.
Yeah. Well, to go back to Burger King, their slogan is "Have it your way." They should change it to "You are going to have it our way."
They lied, Ben.
They lie.
Just say it with me. They lied.
I have literal beef with Burger King on multiple things because you mentioned something else too.
They got beef too.
They do got beef. And look, I like flame broiled flavor of beef. It's good. It's not bad. But they literally, I'm harping a little bit. The rodeo cheeseburger is the same ingredients that they have for the small one as they can make it for the big one. You know, so this is a literal comment that I got from the person taking my order. This is before kiosk, like digital. There's like person taking my order. I said, look, I want the Whopper as the rodeo cheeseburger made like that. She says, we can't do that, but what we can do, and this blew my mind. I was like, you're effing kidding me, right? She said, we can give you a plain Whopper.
You can do it
put the cheese. We're going to give you a pack, not the actual barbecue sauce that they use in the container. We're going to give you a pack of barbecue sauce, which is not the same barbecue sauce. Don't even play. And you can order some onion rings and make it yourself. Make it yourself.
Now, did I tell you that us in the restaurant industry, we don't get any respect? Did I tell you that? And so let me reiterate that.
I worked in the restaurant industry. So I understand that.
Just let me educate you. We're like, I don't want to say the bottom of the barrel, but we are. People don't give a damn about what we say. They don't give a damn about our structure. They don't give a damn about our guidelines. They don't give a damn about us.
Yeah.
We are a means to an end.
Yeah.
Our job is to make what you tell us, regardless of whether if we can or we don't. See, how old are you, Ben?
39.
Okay, so you're 39. So it's 15 years of beef that you've got with a restaurant.
Yeah, and I still have it.
but I want to make you understand that just like you've got a job and I've got a job, or someone else has a job, and regardless of what that job is and what your duties are, when you're instructed to do your job, you're instructed to do it the way the company says do it.
They shouldn't say have it your way then. They
shouldn't, but that's the beef that you should have with the CEOs and the creators and not so much the workers at the drive-thru.
Correct. And to your point, I did not disrespect that person.
No, and I don't think you did.
I know you didn't say I did. I found, like, you made a comment earlier, actually. You went to another business that you didn't name that you had this ingredient and that ingredient. How come you can't make it? And I was so confused as a young person who worked in the restaurant industry. I worked at Sonic. I worked at Wendy's. I worked at a mom and pop restaurant. I know how, and you have a structure, you have a way to do it. And if somebody comes in, say, hey, I want to do this, it does affect your flow a little bit. Right. I get that. It was just one of those things where I could not fathom the idea of saying have it your way whenever you're telling me I can't have it my way.
I get it.
Pissed me off. But I wasn't mean to the person.
Right.
I was just a little confused. I'm like,
and listen, I appreciate you for not being mean.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
No. But because I think everybody should work in the restaurant industry at one point.
Because of the setup of the restaurant industry, people are unreal sometimes. Like, for example, even when you mention structure, if you tell them that you can't do something, it's been historically built into people's heads that we're the crapper. Like you get to you get to shit on my head.
You're an essential employee.
Well, essential employee, but your job, you make your paycheck based on if I buy or not.
Yeah.
And God forbid you tell somebody no. God forbid someone cusses you out and you tell them, hey, sir, no.
Yeah.
They're like, I should be able to cuss you out like I want to because your service, you know, and I promise you, ask service people. They'll tell you it's a really stressful, it's long, and you don't always have the luxury of having the management support that you need. And I can't tell you, and if you worked in the restaurant industry before, sometimes your people will treat you bad. They'll talk down to you, very demeaning. And you go and tell your manager and say, hey, look, that lady cursed me out. And he's going to say, well, just give us some free food. Like a child. Now, think about it. If you give, if a child is being bad and you reward the bad behavior, what do you think is going to happen?
Continued bad behavior.
Exactly. Yeah. And so people wonder why, even nowadays, that we're having so much trouble staffing the restaurant industries, but people are sick of it. They're absolutely sick of it. And don't get me wrong. We all need to make a paycheck. We all need to try to make a living. And we just, the same way that you could be a doctor, you could be a lawyer, whatever it is your profession is, you want to be able to go to work and come home safe. You know, you want to be able to go to work and have as less stress as possible. But for some reason, people leave their stressful job and give us all of their bull. And I get it, because we're service.
Yeah.
But you don't have to make our job more difficult than it actually has to be.
And I agree.
You know, and sometimes it's for reasons that, as the owner, I can't even make sense of. Like, you had a bad day, now you're going to treat me like crap, you know? Or your kids stressed you out, now you're going to treat... No, that's not fair. That's not right. But anyways, not to get into the worst parts of it, but we all kind of sort of exist in this world. It's important for us to try to give mutual respect to people, regardless of what their job title is.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get to do that. That's not fair. That's not right. But anyways, back to your beef with Burger King. I think that their slogan is wrong.
It definitely is.
Or it has evolved, or should I say, it should have evolved over time. Because remember, the Have It Your Way back in 1972, it's not the Have It Your Way in the era of podcasts and social media and content and Google reviews and Yelp, and you can't do that because there's certain things that you just can't functionally do.
Yeah.
But if you tell people that you can, then I think that it's fair that you should be able to do it.
Look, if they want to change your slogan, I'll be like, cool, I get it. I can't have it my way. I'm going to have it the way you want me to have it. I get it. It's change your slogan.
Like, I don't even know, like in 2025, like, if I had to come up with a slogan, like,
what would it be?
What would it be?
You got to live by it.
Well, people would be very literal.
Yeah, like me.
But sometimes it's like, I don't know what I would say. Yeah. And if I'm being honest, like, even my company, I've got a lot of slogans. I mean, they're not necessarily public, but I can tell you what my philosophy is to try to functionally serve the people that want to buy stuff. I mean, maybe that's a slogan that Burger King should use. but that's kind of why we're successful, because I try to listen to the people. And you know, if they know what my philosophy is, they're like, well, you know what, this guy actually wants to be able to satisfy us. This guy actually wants to be able to serve us. But you know, there's a process. There's a structure. One of the things I think that surprises a lot of people is that my restaurant actually has structure. Like, you know, there's me, there's my assistant, and everybody has a role to play. We've got a service time that we try to stick to. Even like around COVID, we kind of sort of pivoted to like a advanced ordering policy. But instead, sometimes you get people that say, well, I've been going to restaurants for forever and I just walk in. Okay, so if you walk in, that means you're going to be behind the people that order in advance, and you have to be okay with that. Guess what? They're not.
Oh, they're not okay with it. Yeah.
Because they thought, yeah, I'm just going to walk in, I'm just going to cut the line. No, sir. We have a structure. Yeah. You order in advance. My kitchen, we're experts at what we do. We're experts at this process. We're going to work on it. I'm going to tell you exactly what time to come and pick it up. Now, if you must wrestle with me and say, I'm going to just do it, okay, have a seat. Now, what's going to happen is, you're going to see Tom, Mary,
all walk
Susie,
in and grab
all
their
walk
food.
in and grab their stuff while you're sitting there rocking like a kid. Like, well, he doesn't like me because I'm white. He doesn't like me because I'm black. He doesn't like me because I'm purple. No, sir, you should have followed my suggestion. Right. And you refuse to do it. Now you've got to wait. Now, what could have taken 2 minutes now it takes 20, because now you're behind the other people that did what they're supposed to do. Either way, I can go on forever and talk about this. But
I know. And, you know, and actually, not to call any demographics out, but there's a certain age demographic that kind of follows that rule of like, oh, I'm just going to go in and order it in person and expect that because I'm going in that I'm getting priority service when in 2025, priority service is whoever gets in line first.
Now, I'm going to tell you something that's really interesting that I do want people to know. If you should know anything about me, I try to be a person of my word, right? And that translates into the way my restaurant is run. I can almost say that a lot of my customers are kind of spoiled because they've been getting VIP service from me from day one. I answer my own phones. I work my own registers. I'm there all the time or most of the times. My customers call. I know most people's name by first name, by order, And so what happened was a lot of that changed around COVID. Staffing things shuffle. The restaurant structure changes, And what you have is, say you have your set, I guess you could say VIP or at least priority people that you know what they want. Someone walks in off the street and says, well, I saw you talking to Ben and you and Ben were talking about old times. But sir, I don't know you. Now, maybe I can get to know you. Right. And once I get to know you, maybe we can laugh and talk like me and Ben laughed and talk. But instead, you're on social media saying, it was because Ben was white. That's why. It's like, no, we know Ben. Ben followed instructions, but it's almost like you can't really wrap your mind around the fact that a restaurant or any kind of business actually has structure, actually has guidelines. Yeah. Now, what I found, and if you're an entrepreneur, you can take this for what it's worth also. In order for you to be successful, you got to figure out what you're doing and how you're going to do it and stick to that. And people will try to make you change to what they think is better. But if what you're doing, the structure, the guidelines, the consistency is what's made you successful, why change it? Yeah. Right? Now, sometimes you're going to have to make tweaks. It's just how it works. But I feel like I've got a proven system, a proven model. And so say if you've never visited me before and I say, hey, look, this is the way we operate. And you say, well, no, the place down the street does this. Then go to the place down the street. Right. But if you're going to come to me, same way as if I came to you for, what you do. I am going to lean on your expertise because I want your service. I want you to do something for me. I want to pay you to provide me, with something. So why wouldn't I listen to you? Remember I told you about how people look at restaurant people, right? Mm-hmm. We're like we're the bottom of the totem pole. Half of my accomplishments, it's kind of like, and not to even really toot the horn. It's like, sir, I thoroughly know and understand what I'm doing. I don't necessarily need anybody to tell me different. But someone else that has no experience, in the area that I'm working in, can tell me how to operate my business. Frustrating, isn't it? And they've got the power of social media to go and tattle on you. Yeah. You'll see me doing this quite a few, because that's how I envision. That's your mentality. Those what it looks like. Yeah. Yeah. Those keyboard warriors. Yeah.
So at about when was it? So about 15 minutes or so ago, a company named Shared Tables. I had them on the podcast a few episodes ago. Said I second that comment. Whenever that comment came in, like I said, about 15 minutes ago. So kind of think back. They said, everything we've tried is wonderful, great food and great service. Mm-hmm. So obviously.
Well, thank you, Shared Tables, whoever you are.
Yeah. So they actually create a box where people can order online and create like a Cajun meal out of state. So like that's a gumbo kit, crawfish etouffee. So really good company. So I want to touch on some of you mentioned accomplishments, and one of them you mentioned was Forbes. So I'm going to pull that up real quick here. And I think it's right here. So this is the Forbes article of you. So walk me through how this took place. They reached out to you. Like, how did this happen?
Well, I'll tell you this. I'm over the years, we've gotten like a lot of awards. We won Best Baked Potato a few years ago through the Times of Acadiana, Best of. We've gotten spotlighted by so many different publications. But 2024 was kind of sort of like I'd call it a banner year. But banner not in the way you might assume. Like, it's kind of sort of like if you could say that you can have a bad, good year all rolled into one.
Yeah.
Because it was one of the years, well, as I said, like, over the last few years, we went through a restructuring, and we never closed. We restructured as we were in operation. And again, imagine having to tell people that you've restructured or tell people that you're doing things a little bit different, that they can have the same food, have the same quality, have the same people, but we're restructuring. So we got to do things a little bit different. People don't like change. Anyways, so what people have the tendency to do, like I mentioned, those Twitter fingers or those Google review fingers, if there's any indication that they can't get what they want, they will drag you through the gates of hell and back. And in my case, they know me. So if you go to McDonald's and McDonald's messes up on your order or something, they'll say, "Oh, McDonald's Corporation, we don't like you. Send us a free meal."
Let me speak to the manager.
Oh, but guess what they say about me? That owner guy, Jerry. Back in 2019, he used to wait on us hand and foot. But in 2020, when people were wearing masks, and he can't do it no more. We don't like him. Hey, friend Ben, I used to tell you that place was good. It's not good anymore. It's kind of sort of like they take so much things personal, right? So 2024 was kind of like that year where, well, it's probably 2023 more so, but where that year where a lot of that, when you're going through a restructuring and it's at a fever pitch where every other post about you was, they're changing, he's too direct, but goddamn, that food is good, kind of sort of every other post. And it's like, again, you try to explain to people, I don't like you. It's just that it's my responsibility as the owner, as the manager, as the operator, as the person who created this, is to keep things consistent. And sometimes you got to make changes to keep things the same. That makes sense?
No, it makes total sense.
So anyway, so over the last few years, you're restructuring. And so towards the end of 2023, finally we were like, okay, you know what? We're not going to survive if we don't implement these changes. We're not going to survive if I don't let the public know what these changes are and stand on them. Because we can't keep flip-flopping, because if you came to me because I did something really, really well and that stuff is not what it's supposed to be, again, let's go back to the Twitter fingers, same thing. You're going to talk about me anyway. So I made a decision. Well, I am going to make this happen. And if your feelings get hurt, then so be it. Because I'm a company and my job is to make sure that my company has longevity, to make sure that my company can provide this to the people that actually want to follow direction, that want to follow rules. See what I'm saying? So anyways, so that all came to like a fever pitch in 2023. If you had probably searched my name, you probably would search asshole, difficult. But the one thing that you would find to be consistent, he's got damn good food. Not one person said my food was nasty. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? And so even as an owner operator, I had to come to the conclusion, like, you know what? It's not that the people don't necessarily like you. Well, they might not. I don't care. But it's not that they don't like you. It's that you're changing something that they had gotten used to. Or in my case, I do things a lot differently at my restaurants than traditional restaurants. So what you get the label of almost like an industry disruptor. Like you're changing the pattern. You're changing what we're used to. It's not that. I'm a 100% independently owned and operated. So that means I make my own rules. And I make the rules up according to what the people want and how my operation actually runs. So anyways, so 2023 was like that year and into 2024 where it's like, my God, this is horrible. Business was good. Business was awesome. But as a person, I'm like, wow, this is kind of tough. I mean, I don't want people thinking that I'm some difficult. No, I'm just a person that has to run a business. And sometimes what you say is what you say. You can't negotiate on that stuff. Anyways, so part of 2024 is like, okay, so how are we going to do this? Negative comments and this, that, and the other. And so around probably like maybe April, I won't say things started to turn around, but what I started to notice is you question sometimes if you're doing the right thing. Because remember, we all like to be liked. I mean, even though I'm saying I don't care, but you want to be liked because that means your business. People will come to visit you and they're talked about and stuff. But at the end of the day, if the reason why you're not liked is because you're actually doing your job, that changes the entire equation. So when I started to find out, a lot of these national platforms started to reach out to me. They were like, man, so really the negativity actually helped me. So haters, I love you. Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, you got a Forbes thing out of it. That's cool.
But we started to be mentioned all types of different places. And so a lot of these platforms started to actually look into what I was doing. They're like, wait a minute, this guy's killing it. This guy's doing exactly what if we had the courage to piss off our customers, and not on purpose, but he's actually doing what he's supposed to do. Yeah. He's making the changes. He's doing this. He's structured. He's holding people accountable. What the hell? So we got invited, man. I mean, we did New York. We were on billboards, and I was like, I'm just this local place in Scott. What am I doing here? Right? But these people wanted to talk to me and do articles on me, do features on me. Yeah. And it started off probably around May. New York Weekly was one of the first ones that reached out to me. Acadiana Profile reached out to me, which culminated into being one of the best chefs in Lafayette. We did an issue in October. And I'm like, wow, one of the best. Now I think I'm the best, but it's nice to see your name in a publication that says you're the best. But yeah, so around like May, I'm on a billboard in New York. I'm like, whoa, what's this? Like, what is, so it's kind of like a roller coaster. So like I said, you kind of have some of the worst times and some of the best times all wrapped up into one. So again, as an owner operator, when a lot of these national publications and some of them global publications reached out to me, it kind of started to make sense. You're doing what you're supposed to do. And yes, the people that are in your backyard may have issue or may take issue, or they may not even understand, or they may not even care. But the business people who matter, who put your name in lights, who put your name in global publications, they're like, this guy's killing it. So yeah, so New York Weekly, U.S. Digital News, all these national platforms. And so with press, I noticed that sometimes you have to kind of start off with the smaller ones. And then as your name gets mentioned even more, you start to build a bigger one. So around, I think it might have been October, I was nominated for this award. It was like a worldwide award. Oh, and so Forbes actually talked to me about that one. And, and as they started to learn my story, they were like, wait, you know what? And I'm like, well, I mean, you talked about how I won this award, so why not just do a feature on me, on my journey and how I got here? That's kind of sort of where that happened at. Okay. I think that happened in maybe like November, maybe. So the first Forbes article was in October, and this next one was in maybe like November or December. Okay. So if you ever ask, how like a local guy, small place, gets on that level, sometimes I'm not even sure about it. But what I do know is that doing my job, being consistent, not taking no shit, doing what you're supposed to do, being consistent at it has its perks. And even though I'd like to say that in 2025, it seems as if those half-asses and those quick ones are getting ahead. Not really. It just looks that way. But if you're doing what you're supposed to do, you'll win.
There you go. So yeah, great part right there with the Forbes thing. I think that's amazing. Before we went live, we were talking about this thing that's becoming increasingly more popular in social media, becoming a food influencer, a food reviewer, whatever you want to call it. We have a few locally. I don't want to call myself one, even though I've made a couple of videos last week testing the theory out to see if I could put myself on camera. And hey, the videos did really good. And I was like, man, those should have been paid for, but whatever. So there are a couple of people in town that do this. And there's also a national guy who's really big. He even has his own thing about him. Whenever he goes to a restaurant and that restaurant gets a lot of business, they call it this person's name effect. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I think I know who you're talking about.
Who?
Keith Lee.
Keith Lee. I feel like kicked off this oh my God, I don't know the exact term.
Well, let's call it a frenzy.
Yes, perfect word.
And he came to Louisiana, I think last summer, maybe. I think.
Yeah, I think it was last summer. But he went to Baton Rouge and I think in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. New Orleans, cool. Baton Rouge, they got some good stuff. But like, really?
Well, I have to admit to you, I like the idea of being a food influencer, but it. Let's see where I can say this. Sometimes food influencers, they create a level of buzz that sometimes the restaurants can't accommodate.
So you think, and we kind of talked about this, but just to reiterate, you see it as it's a good thing, but also it could be a bad thing.
Well, if again, if you haven't worked in a restaurant before, you might not understand it. And of course, patrons don't have to have had the experience of working in a restaurant, but those who do will understand where I'm coming from with this. But you do orders so many times a week, you get inventory in. And sometimes if you run out of inventory, you're just out of inventory. I watched this video not long ago about Popeyes, right? I think they were featuring maybe the blackened chicken sandwich. Mm-hmm. And they had such a crazy weekend. They were out of chicken breast fillets. And the guy was like, well, I'm going to call your manager. He's talking to the cashier or maybe the manager that was on site. Right. I'm going to call corporate. And they was like, sir, no matter what I say, I can't pull a chicken breast fillet out of my behind. Yeah. I can only give you what I have available. Would you like some regular chicken? He's like, no, I'm calling corporate. This is not fair. You shouldn't have this on your sign. This is false advertising, because customers like to say that when you don't have something. But, But yeah, that's kind of how it is. So if you're a food influencer, your job is to influence people, right? Your job is to tell people where to go, right? So say a restaurant that's only adjusted to serving 500 people a day. Yeah. Suddenly that demand goes up to 1,500. I've only got but so much refrigerator space. I've only got so much cooler space. I can only stock so many patties. I can only stock so much fish. I can only stock so much crawfish. So if I run out, I'm out. But guess what? There's a line that stretches to the grocery store across the street of everybody wanting this particular product that I featured. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I'm using Popeyes as an example. And if you remember the other frenzy from a couple years ago, what was a chicken sandwich, right?
Yeah. Everybody came out with their own chicken sandwich at that point.
Well, but Popeyes
was one of the first to come out with it. Yeah.
Actually, not the first, but they went viral.
To go viral. That's what I guess I meant.
And when I tell you that, I felt sorry for Popeyes workers, because they were those lines were wrapped around the building. And imagine you sitting in line for an hour and they telling you, "Oh, sir, we don't have any more chicken, or we don't have any more chicken breasts." You think you would have taken that and been okay with that?
No, because I'll tell you right now, there was a time where KFC, there was not even a viral thing. This was years ago. Mm-hmm. KFC ran out of chicken. Right. And they didn't go viral, but I was like, how are you out of chicken?
But see, I want you to hear what you just said. Uh-huh. How are you out of chicken? Because you assume that they're a chicken place, that they should have enough chicken. Now, I can't explain why they were out of chicken. Right. But what I can tell you from a restaurant perspective is that you place orders for so much.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, and you've only got but so much space. So if you were anticipating serving, like I said, about 500 people a day, right? So do the math. We're open 6 days a week, 500 times 6, right? So what if that number that you were planning on serving, what if that number tripled? What if that number quadrupled? What would happen?
Oh yeah, you'd be swamped, and then
even if you hired more people, even if you said to your patrons, "Hey, look, we're going to order some chicken tomorrow,"
it's almost impossible to scale to that.
Exactly. So when Keith Lee comes, or when whoever comes, they'll say, "Hey, Keith Lee's coming." And when I tell you from my own experience, I remember Gerald's my boy. I appreciate what you do. By the way. He came, and when I tell you that they kicked our ass for about 3 or 4 days straight, and he told me, he was like, "Hey, your episode airs tomorrow." I was like, "It does?"
Get ready.
You couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Because guess what? You now are flooded with curiosities, people that want whatever your specialty is. And now your regulars are like, "What the hell is this? Are y'all giving something away for free?" But now you can't even really serve the people that actually support you.
Yeah.
And although you appreciate the new support, or the potential of new support, or the potential of being able to turn these new people into regulars, but It's like this is crazy. I mean, it's quality control now is in question. You can't cook stuff fast enough. You can't keep enough stuff in stock. Nope. Your service times now are poor. You know, where you used to maybe take 20 minutes, now it's taking 2 hours. And again, those people that are curious, they don't care anything about that. I mean, they do, but at the end of the day, they came there for one specific reason, is because that food influencer told them to come. So we think that Gerald is a force. Imagine Keith Lee with millions and millions and millions of followers. People come from out of state to try some of the places that he said. So, but to take it back to the original conversation, anybody can almost become a food influencer. If you've got a following on social media, you can become a food influencer.
I mean, we have the Facebook group, Foodies of Lafayette, Foodies of Acadiana. There's a couple of other groups out there. And I've seen posts made by people who I wouldn't consider influencers at all, but because the group is open for anybody to publish something to, there's, you know, John down the road who says, hey, I just had a great burger at this place. He posts a picture of it and the post gets 500 likes. And then all of a sudden that place that has that burger are like, oh my God, I have this rush.
Listen, and I want to make sure that I make it very clear, you know, our objective is to be in business, and our objective is to, of course, make revenue. But see if I can say this, like, to where it really makes sense. Most people will never understand, or at least be able to comprehend, like, say you're an office worker, right? And you're scheduled to get off at 3:00, right? And you've got maybe 4 tasks to complete before 3:00. What if out of the blue, someone said, here you go, here's like 1,000 more things that you've got to do before you leave? That office worker probably say, oh, hell no.
No, I'm clocking out.
But as a restaurant,
you can't.
Remember when I told you, you have access to online, you have access to, you know, influencers and all this other stuff. So you basically, you have to. And I say have to, you can say no. But guess what happened? Well, I went to this place and they closed on me.
The negative
even though they were closed at 8:00. I mean, even though they've been open for 10 years and they've been closed at 8:00 every single day for 10 years. But today I didn't get that to 8:01, but they're closed. Or they've got maybe they closed at 2:00 to clean up and reopen at 5, but I got there at 2:01. You know, it's like, that's not the people's fault. No, this place was following this protocol long before you got there. Right. But the food influencers, because they have a platform, they can literally attempt to destroy your business. And some of them are so malicious. When I tell you that when they don't get what they want, they will tell lies. They will make up whole narratives about you. And it's not even true. You know what I started to do? I started to tell the truth. Someone say, well, I went to this place. I went to you and you. Sir, that's a lie. That's a lie. Yes, that's a lie. Right. That's a lie. That is not true. I love it. Because at one point I'd be like, "Oh, you're crazy," you know. No, because that just makes, as the food person or as a restaurant, it makes you look like you're being combative. So I just started telling the truth. You're a liar, ma'am. You just left here an hour ago, and we were fine. I replaced your meal for you. But instead, I went there, and it was nasty. It was not good. They took 2 hours to serve me. Ma'am, if you don't stop lying. You know, but I find that that's the only, we don't really have a whole lot of tools to combat the lies and the ugly narratives. But people, they when you don't give them what they want, they become very volatile.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the world we live in at this moment, and it's always been like that. Like, but before social media, you would just tell your family and friends, like, "Hey, this place really screwed me over,"
right.
And then it would trickle. Today, that little bit of trickle can just blow up, and then a business can literally be ruined and closed the next day because of some really bad press.
This is the thing, like, I've got a lot of nieces and nephews, right? So I'm kind of experienced when dealing with the young ones. Every time, you can't have this. No, you can't stay up late. You can't have cookies at 9:00. They're like, oh, that's customers. That's them.
Customers are toddlers.
And you love them because I appreciate the support. But you just wish that people wouldn't be so malicious about certain things. Like, you just wish they would, you know, have better, you know, ways of viewing things or better ways of conflict resolution. But now, because they know that they've got that tool, And sometimes they get a bit excited. I told you, I had somebody, I was right in the middle of the pandemic. I'm struggling with staff. We're struggling to stay open. There's a lot of stuff going on. I've got a mask on and we're struggling. And I've got a person that says that, well, again, back in, I came here back in 2019 and you were able to wait on me hand and foot. You were able to suggest things to me. You were able to do all these things for me. Man, but the situation is a bit different now. It's not that I don't want to. I just don't physically have the capabilities of doing it right now.
Right.
And we explained it to you, but that's not what you wanted to hear. What you wanted to hear is, yes, ma'am, I'll do it for you. Yes, ma'am, I'll kill myself. I'll lay on the floor so you can walk on me like a carpet. Like, no, ma'am, I really want to serve you. I'm just not capable in this moment, in this situation, of being the same exact business that I was pre-COVID.
Right.
But guess what happens?
So not to mention Keith Lee in any sort of negative way, because Keith Lee is a great guy and he does amazing work and he saves businesses. However, I saw a video this morning, a Keith Lee video, brand new, had millions of views already. And it was a pizza place in Brooklyn, New York, that had told one of their customers, who was a regular customer, in private, hey, I'm thinking that I'm going to be closing my business in a week. This particular customer went on social media and said, I want someone to help my favorite restaurant, my favorite pizza place, who's amazing, to stay open. They told me that because I'm a regular, that they're closing and I don't want to see them close. What can we do to help out? Guess who shows up?
Keith Lee.
Keith Lee was in town.
Hero.
He comes in, and this is kind of going in that direction where you were just now. This pizza place, it was at night. This pizza place was getting ready to close. And Keith Lee and then some younger guys were walking in at the same time, but apparently they were walking in just to hang out, and I don't know if they were planning on ordering or not, but Keith Lee walks in, and this is kind of like him narrating the video. The guy behind the counter said that they were already getting ready to close. They were cleaning up, and essentially said, look, would it be difficult since I'm here already? Because Keith Lee moves around a lot. He was in Brooklyn for business. So he's like, I heard about your place. Could I try it? And so this guy that was working behind the counter wasn't even the owner. According to Keith Lee, this guy might have been just an employee that was there, but works all the time. So guess what they did? They went ahead and fired up a pizza. A restaurant, most restaurants will do that. Like, oh my God, okay. Well, look, you're only here for a little bit. You're a big guy influencer. Sure. Let me see what happens. They make the pizza. Turns out the pizza is great. I think he rated it like a 9.4 or 5, whatever. I can only imagine what is about to happen to that business. It's about to get wild.
It's a blessing and a curse.
It is, yeah.
Now, normally, especially in 2025, especially again with the clips, because we sometimes love the little small peeps that we have into things without actually understanding the whole. Like, we can read a comment and get upset about it, but not really understand the whole story behind the comment or behind the post. So if I say, oh, this is too much, they'll say, well, you better be happy you're getting business because there's some people that are closing. It's not that I'm not appreciative of getting business. It's that I am stressed out right now. I don't have enough people. And even if you say hire more people, you can't just say, hey, guy off the street, come on and work my cash register because you probably won't have any more cash. You can't say, hey, girl that's just hanging out on the corner, come make pizzas or potatoes, in my case, in my kitchen. And she has no clue of what to do. So no, overnight, you cannot accommodate or at least prepare yourself for what's about to happen. So one of the things that I mentioned earlier is that too much business can have two effects. It can force you to close down, right? Or it can fuel you forward. So most people, when they think about a lot of business or that you're getting revenue, they just like, oh, it's a good thing. It's great. It's great. but I've got a few employees. They're stressed. They're overworked. That's too much. And not only, and remember, if you're an establishment and you get an influx of new people, guess what else happens? They're cursing you. They're fussing you. They're impatient. And so if I'm an employee, remember you said about that Burger King worker?
Oh, yeah.
Right. So if I'm an employee and I've got 1,000 people in line and I'm supposed to get off at 3:00,
You getting off.
I'm getting off.
You checking out. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you think I'm going to still be saying me put up with your stuff because after 3? No, I'm leaving. You know. Now, if he's a good employee, he may say I'm staying till 3:15.
Yeah.
But
the good ones will hang out, but
right.
No.
But ultimately, you can't expect if that line lasts until 8:00. That employee
no.
is not going to hang around until 8:00.
Nope.
You're just not going to do it. And so the patrons are like, well, what's wrong? Why can't I get served? It's not that we don't want to serve you. Again, we just don't have the physical capabilities of doing so. But I might as well could have said, F you. We're not serving you, because that's the way the customer heard it.
Yep.
He didn't hear, well, sir, you know, I'm short, or we out of chicken, or we can't make rodeo cheeseburgers, or whatever it might be. Because now they're going to go online and say, you know, I went to this place, I heard they were good, and all I wanted to do, this is what I hear often, I just wanted to support a black business. So they throw the race card in sometimes too. I just wanted to support a black business. That's all I wanted to do.
Oh, and then on social media, they will ring you.
Oh, yes. When I
wanted to support a black business, and this is how the black business treated me. Yeah, I get it.
But remember, the black business, it's just like any other business.
It is. Yeah.
Now, thank you for coming to support me.
Right.
Or thank you for choosing to support me because I was black. But I want to still be able to serve you good, consistent
You're still human.
food. Well, no. Well, still human, but hear me out. My objective is still the same. You're a customer. I want to satisfy you.
Yep.
I want you to come back, right? And I want you to tell your friends good things, and I want all of y'all to come back. It doesn't matter if I'm black or white or green or purple. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But some people, they feel that they throw that in there. It's almost like a guilt trip. You know, and I've had it from white people too. So, trust me.
It comes from everybody,
you know,
for sure.
Well,
for
my
sure.
friend told me that you were good, and all I wanted to do was just to come, sir. We're out of chicken. So even if you knew Ben, it doesn't really matter. You know, I can't serve you. Or today has just been a rough, horrible day, and I can't physically do it. You know, and they're like, well, that's all I wanted to do. You know what? I'm not coming back here because you're a black man and you didn't serve me properly. So I'm going to make sure when I put up the post, I'm going to say, how could you treat fellow black people like this? And I'm like, oh my God. But guess what? That's kind of sort of what comes with the territory with people. They're all over the place. Remember I told you when they don't get what they want, it's volatile.
Yeah.
And remember I told you I've got experience dealing with the younger ones. So when they don't get what they want, they say, you know, like when you're giving them what they want, you're the best uncle in the world.
Oh, yeah.
We love you.
Oh,
you know, you're the best dad. You're the best mom. And the second you tell them, go to bed, I don't like you. You're the worst mom in the world.
Cry.
I've had better mommies. You know, it's like, wait a minute. Just now when I was giving you candy and cookies and taking you to McDonald's or taking you to Disneyland, I was the best thing in the world. You know what I've come to the conclusion of?
What's that?
Customers, patrons, or grown-up kids with money and access to Facebook.
Yeah. Look, and you and I, we're grown-ups, and we will sometimes act like kids.
Yeah. And listen, I want to make sure I make this clear because I don't want anybody to think that I'm, I love the support and I love people and I love the fact that, you know, they make their choices of where they go. If we ask for anything, we just ask for a little more decorum, a little bit of understanding, a little bit of empathy, patience.
Yeah,
you know, and that's all. That's it. And if you can give us that, then we our jobs are a little bit easier because, again, if you ever have worked in a commercial kitchen before, it's tough. It's hot. There's a lot of stuff going on back there. Sometimes you're short-handed. Sometimes you just don't have enough product, or sometimes you don't have the most skilled workers. And I'll tell you something. Over the course of the past 5 years. And I could probably speak for a lot of people. We just don't always have the tools that we need to function, you know. So it doesn't really matter what we did in 2019. It doesn't really matter what we did in 2015. What matters is from March-ish, whatever date that was, if I remember correctly, somewhere around the 17th, where things changed. Things changed for everybody, not just you, not just him, but for us all. And especially in particular in the restaurant industry where you're really dependent on individuals showing up. So guess what? If one of your best people are out with COVID, what happens? You know, one of your most experienced people or your most reliable people, you know, or the key holder, you know, but guess what? You have a few hundred people in line that want to get served regardless of what's going on in that kitchen. And so sometimes you just want to tell people, we really want to serve you. It's just not always perfect. And we're going to try our best to make this look consistent and good and perfect. But it was a struggle back there because I had to take orders, make orders, answer the phone, open the front door, mop the floor. And now you're like, well, why aren't you being super duper nice today? It's like, sir, I want to be nice, but right now it's just not the best time.
Yeah. And we all have those days. Oh my God.
Well, we do, but you're not allowed to.
Right. It's public opinion. You're not.
Yeah, you're not allowed to. I told you earlier, you have that small peek into the blinds, and if a person only sees you once, they're going to go ahead and say, hey, that person is mean. It's not that person is mean. It's that, we're struggling just like you are. And I told you, people will leave their job sites where they're struggling or having similar struggles to us, but expect perfection when they show up to our place.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you shouldn't have high expectations. We were asking for you to understand that if things aren't perfect, that we're going to try to explain to you how and why they're not perfect. And we're expecting for you to kind of sort of give us a little bit of grace. But we don't really get that. But we're going to ask for it and hope for it.
Well, look, man, I can tell you right now, like we kind of mentioned earlier, that I believe that everybody at some point in their life, ideally in your earlier years, but at some point, should work a few days in a restaurant, maybe a week, just to get the feel. Like I worked at Chili's as a server. Let me tell you. First of all, the manager told me that he almost fired me because I was not quick enough doing math. And that was in 2011. And that was right when, everything was going more digital, digital payments, all that good stuff. But I managed to get through it. I got in the weeds real bad in the first week. And then after that, I was there for about 4 months before I left. And then I was starting to get the hang of it. But what I found is, especially with tipping, tipping culture is out of control.
Oh, it's out of control.
But if you as a customer, if you've never worked in a restaurant, if you go and you sit down and you have people come to your table or do any sort of thing to make your experience better, and there's an option to tip, especially if you at a sit down restaurant, you need a tip.
Let me tell you something. I wish people, well, I can tell this part of the story, but since I'm an owner, so I get the benefit of working as an admin and as a cashier and as a cook and as a cleaner, right? So I've done essentially what I like to call an 11-year, because we're about to make 11 years, a case study about the behavior of people and how they function. And I won't tell you what my findings are, but I will tell you it is crazy.
Oh my God.
I have served tables, I have mopped floors, I have washed windows, I have put up signs. Everything that's involved with running my restaurant, I've done it. And guess what? I still do it. Because one of the reasons why I do it, because people ask me sometimes, like, this is strange. You're an owner who actually works your own place. First of all, I love my staff. And second is because as an owner, if you understand what your staff is going through, guess what your respect level is?
Yeah, higher up.
Because they know that you don't mind mopping floors. They know that you don't mind making food. So if you say, hey, such and such, look, man, I'm short-handed today. Would you mind coming and help me? You know what that employee is going to do? He's going to come because he know that you has his back. Or if you have a difficult interaction, or say if one of them has a difficult interaction with a customer, but they know that you're going to have their back because you understand exactly how it feels to be in their shoes. And I get looks all the time. They're like, "You're an owner, like you're in Forbes. You're taking my order." I'm like, "Yeah, why wouldn't I?" Because guess what? That hard work, that grind, is what got me there.
Yeah.
So why would I stop now? But it's proving that to people, the respect factor. Like, hey, we're here to serve you. We want to do all that we can. But there's just certain boundaries that I won't allow you to cross.
Yeah.
One of them is disrespecting my staff. Don't disrespect the house either. Because, hey, we work hard, just like you do at your job. So don't do that to us. That's not right. That's not fair. But anyways, I find that the more people that understand, they have a little bit more grace than the others do. Now, I don't think we'll ever have an opportunity to prove it to everybody. But those who do, thank you. Wherever the camera is, thank you. And the other ones, we'll just keep praying.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's all you can do.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Look, we are approaching an hour and 20 minutes.
Oh, goodness, we're going over.
We were rolling. But I was like, you know what? There's, like the saying goes, let them cook.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were cooking, and I said, oh, there's some seasoning that I can throw in there and all that. So I think it was a good episode, man. There's a lot of good things in there. Got a good couple of comments, and I think that if anybody's listening, to your point, Jerry, show grace, show patience, especially if it's something that's a viral moment. You might want to like hang out for a second, maybe not go right away. Now, if you got to have it, you're going to wait in the line. You might not get product because they might not have it.
Well, if you got to have it, I say go to places that have pre-made stuff. Like you can't reasonably go to a place that has to cook up something and expect to have it right then and there.
Right.
Like if you want a shirt and you want to go to Walmart, go ahead. They can have one that's pre-printed. But if you're going to go to your local graphics person and they've got to print it up and do paint and do the rollout or do heat press, it's going to take a little while. Mm-hmm. You can't walk in there and expect the same kind of service that you would have somewhere else because it doesn't work like that. And I've always thought that if people, it's worked out, but if you can explain to people how the process works, there'll be more understanding. Now that's been effective, as I said, but then you've got those other people who they don't want to hear it. I don't care.
Instant gratification is what they want.
And they need that. It's unfortunate that, and again, I told you, because I'm an owner, because I'm the manager, and because I actually work my own establishment, a lot of times I can actually stop situations before they start, or I can say, hey, you got to go. But of course, you won't hear that part, but you got to go, or I'm giving you your money back because you've been too disrespectful. But then that turns into a, but if I'm a 70-year-old cashier or just a low employee on a totem pole, I can't, what am I going to say?
Right.
Especially if your manager's going to come back around and say, here's some free food just so you come back. Mm-hmm. But who wants to deal with that level of disrespect all the time? I know I don't. And I know my workers won't. And how do I know that? Because we work side by side and I get to see their struggles. So again, I'm not expecting for everybody to do what I do and how I do it, but I've been open 11 years, so I'm doing something right is all I'm saying.
Yep. So Podna Build says, enjoyed the live. Keep up the great work. Ethics and God bless. Well, man, this was a great episode.
I think so too.
Yeah. I'll be honest though, I feel like if we keep going, we could probably make this into like a 2-hour, 3-hour thing. And
now, wait, what did I tell you before we started this? When you came to eat a couple weeks ago, what did I tell you? I told you that if you want to make this a regular thing, we can do it, because I told you I'm in search of a platform and you've got one, and hopefully I can add some good content and some good banter to what you already have, and this is yours. I'll just be here to talk.
All right.
But if you want to do that, listen, man. Like when I tell you that I've got I call it like a grocery bag of things that I either want to talk about, that I do, that I'm involved in. Went to the Super Bowl. Awesome. We had field access. We were right by the stage of Kendrick Lamar. So right before you all saw it, we saw rehearsals. So it's just all these things that I need to get out. But what I found is that being a restaurant, and even having a restaurant-centric page, there's only so much that I can talk about. Even having a business page, you can't, because people try to use that to judge you,
Yeah.
So having another platform to be able to kind of sort of get a lot of this stuff out, is pretty cool for me. But again, it's up to you. But I told you that I wanted to try to do this on my own a while back, just don't have the time to do it. But if we could, we could say, hey, look, once a month we're going to come and talk shit here. I'll do it. I can set some time aside for it.
All right.
We can do it. We can do it, brother.
Well, cool. Well, I'm going to go ahead and close out there, guys. I appreciate you for listening. And I'm pretty sure if you listened closely, you might have learned a little something, show some grace to some people in the restaurant industry because they need it. And with that, man, Jerry, we'll talk a little bit more, I'm sure, after this down the road. And I look forward to seeing you continue to succeed in business and hopefully grow whatever that looks like for you.
Right.
And yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on, and I enjoyed the conversation.
All good, man. Thank you. Appreciate the invite.
All right, guys, that is it. Y'all have a good one and appreciate it.